Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of the Critical Blast podcast. Yeah, I know I'm pushing things maybe a little bit, but hey, just because I still have some of the leftover Halloween candy that I'm making myself sick on here, and I don't stop eating it, doesn't mean that it's not time to put up the Christmas decorations and just, be ahead of things. So with that in mind, we are going to talk about Christmas movies. Now, if you're sitting at home and you turn the TV on, you've got at least 3 channels that are nothing but Christmas movies all day long. And you know what they really need? A solid skewering. So with that in mind, we would like to welcome to the broadcast Mr. Jake Horowitz, who is the director of a new film called Cup of Cheer, an Xmas-rated movie, and Storm Steenson.
Yes.
Okay, great. Who portrays the lead actress in this film? This is the hallmark of your career, I'm sure. It had to be said. Had to be said. So, how are y'all doing this evening?
Yeah, good. Thank you so much for having us on. It's cool to talk about Christmas on November 4th. What better time to start? You can't start Christmas too soon. If Sirius XM radio says it's time to start playing carols, then by golly, it's the 65 days of Christmas start now. So as much as it may be odd to talk about Christmas in November, what was it like filming this? Because I'm sure it was nowhere near Christmas when you guys were working on this project. It felt a lot more like Christmas, at least here in Canada, because of the temperature. There was all the snow that you see in the movie is real snow, unlike Hallmark movies. And that freezing cold breath and the frozen tears on Storm's face, that's not CGI.
Well, that's the best way to achieve the special effects. So you were, you were bundled up, I'm guessing. You weren't going to get sick or anything from the cold storm, right?
No.
I didn't always have the warmest clothes, but I was pretty warm most of the time. They did a good job bundling me up when we weren't filming.
Okay, because if it was that cold, I know there's a scene early on, and we'll see the trailer here in just a little bit, where you get drenched.
That was fun.
That was the warmest you were because it was hot chocolate, right?
It was actually so refreshing. It felt good to be warm for once. And
it was steaming. Now, was it really hot chocolate? Because that was a lot of it.
It was basically just like warm water. But it was so cold that the warm water was steaming.
Yeah. So Jake, you're the driving force behind this film. When did you realize that there was this whole genre of films that nobody had bothered to really give it the good college humor stab that these things needed?
I mean, always. These movies almost every Hallmark movie gets shot up here, and so just being in the industry. Storm and I know everybody who's worked on these things, and it's just such a, it's like one of the main things that shoots here, and you're just constantly aware of it, and you're constantly seeing it. And so I guess it was at a point where I was trying to, not seriously consider, but a lot of people had said, oh, you should write one of these. And so I was like, probably not. But I thought of that if there was a real one, it would be called Cup of Cheer, and it would be basically the exact plot that we did. And then I thought, you know what? It's way more fun if we just make fun of this whole thing.
And don't even pull any punches. Every trope that's in these Christmas movies gets stabbed at. Storm, I was especially taken with your dialogue and how you handled it. I don't know how many times you had to take it and not trip over, because the way it was written was beautifully redundant and redundantly beautiful.
Absolutely.
All the things you had to say, and I'm like, wait a second, isn't there a simpler way? Grammarly would not permit this script to go through.
It was quite funny because they actually had me audition with one of the hardest lines I found. For me, it was like this whole paragraph. And I found out a little bit later on, it was like, well, we know that anyone who's auditioning must be serious about it. They're willing to take the time to remember all of this. And now it's ingrained in my head forever. So
You can't get rid of it. You're supposed to, when they say that's a wrap, you're supposed to dump it. And
just this one paragraph. That's it.
Well, let's take a quick peek at the trailer for this. And folks, this is Cup of Cheer, which will be coming out shortly on all kinds of streaming services. It's not there yet. I know. I looked right before the show. I was going to link to it, but we will get there. I'm going to give it a full screen here, and let's take a quick look at this.
From no one you've ever heard of comes a film you've seen a million times before.
Where am I going? I haven't packed.
Snowy Heights.
That's my hometown where I grew up.
So pour yourself a wholesome mug of hot cocoa.
I'm here.
Or maybe something a little stronger.
Silly me. And I've interrupted your date.
Oh, no.
I just got here from the big city.
Oh, you're a lesbian. Most folks from the big city are. Nothing wrong with that. Even I've licked.
Oh, Mrs. Clovenwich.
This holiday season.
I do have some bad news for you. We're going to lose a cup of cheer. Our landlord, Ebenezer Chan, he's going to take it away from us.
Whenever I have a problem, I ask, what will my dead parents do?
Die, I guess.
Watch the Christmas movie that will jingle your bells.
You know how I'm writing that article about the town's world-famous Christmas cheer?
Well, this is the first I'm hearing about it.
I'm writing an article about the town's world-famous Christmas cheer.
This is the second I'm hearing about it.
No, I just told you a few seconds ago.
Told me about what?
It's a holly jolly mess.
Yeah?
My private shoulder.
And it's coming down your chimney to make the season bright. Christmas is coming.
Most importantly, we learned that small towns are way better than big cities.
And that's what Christmas is all about.
I would watch that movie. That looks really good.
I would watch that. I would watch that twice now. There's a lot of what was that? Naked Gun. That's what I was thinking of. A lot of Naked Gun meets Van Wilder in this film. And it's almost trite to ask what your influences were, but we got to fill time, so that's what we're going to do now.
And Naked Gun and Airplane were both huge. Those were the parody movie. Parody has become sort of a bad word in the last 10 or 15 years after Scary Movie 500 and all the vampires suck and epic movie and whatever. But Airplane and Naked Gun sort of started that, and they still remain just as funny to this day. Certainly, David Wayne movies were another big inspiration in terms of modern satire. They Came Together is one that I made Stormwatch before filming, and I think that's another huge one that I've been very happy to see. A lot of the reviews that have come out have said that it's comparable to that, which is fantastic.
Well, it's got very high production values. Have you ever seen 0 Hour?
0 Hour is one that I just cannot track down, as much as I have been meaning to see it for years. It's very hard to find.
It is, but there's some YouTube videos out there that do a good job. 0 Hour is Airplane. Mm-hmm. It was written like decades before Airplane. It's the same dialogue as Airplane, but played straight. So it's like this was a ridiculously melodramatic, serious film that you just put different people in the roles, and suddenly it's hilarious comedy. Mm-hmm. And I just throw that out there for trivia purposes. So, Storm, where would people have seen you before Cup of Cheer? Because this can't be your first rodeo.
I've done a little bit of some like docudramas and things like that, some short films and whatnot. But this was my first feature. So yeah.
So this is the first one. This is good. Nothing wrong with that. That's everyone starts somewhere, and if you're going to start with one, it's nice to have one that's as well done as Cup of Cheer is. Jake, are you at all disappointed in the fact that so many theaters can't show it?
Yeah, it's I mean, we were making this and we finished like a week before everything kind of shut down, or a week or two. And so on set, it was sort of our last time where everybody was able to be together, and we just spent, basically a month laughing together about all the stuff we were filming. So it would have been really exciting to see it in theaters, in a packed theater where you can hear the audience laughter. Luckily, we are able to do a big drive-in theatrical run, which isn't really the same because everyone's still in their cars, but it's safe when you get to see it on the big screen. And it will be really nice to have everybody come out for that. And then I think another great thing is we intentionally made this movie to be pretty timeless. And so every Christmas, I think that we're going to be able to have screenings, theatrical screenings. Hopefully next year we'll be able to actually pack a room full of people to hear people laugh.
Yeah, it is really timeless. It's until such time as we replace smartphones with earbuds or whatever it is that comes next. It's like you watch the old holiday films; they're timeless too, except for those rotary machines and those big tube televisions. Did it ever cross your mind at all? Again, because so many of the Hallmark films do film in Canada, and you've seen them all, to try to hijack any of the actresses for a cameo walk-on?
Mm-hmm. It was recommended to us after we had shown it to somebody. All I'll say is we showed it to somebody who was a very big Hallmark actor, and they said, "I wish I knew you were filming this because I would have loved to be in it."
Another Cup of Cheer.
That is literally the title that we have picked out for the sequel. So if enough people see it, we will be making another Cup of Cheer, fingers crossed. And at that point, we will hopefully be able to have some real Hallmark actors walk past in the background or something.
And you know what? You don't even have to change the script.
Change anything. Sorry?
You don't even have to change the script. That's the thing about the Hallmark movies. It's the same movie every time. Just change the characters' names and use the exact same script.
Yeah. I'll just gender swap all the roles. Storm will play Chris, and Alex will play Mary, and it will be amazing.
That's another thing that that struck me. It took me a while to get it, which was, of course, your intention, was the horrible puns that were in this. Especially when she's talking about my ex.
Yeah, which isn't even revealed until way later in the movie. Yeah, but that is another thing that I feel like is sort of along the Airplane school of comedy. Just those reveals and those very stupid names.
Yeah, and some things you don't even catch on to until you've seen it happen a few times. You're like, wait a second, the running gag slips up on you. It's which is great. It's better than seeing it the first time and say, oh, this is going to be a running gag throughout the film. The magical lady who just happens to know everything about Christmas and can help. No one knows her name. you think you know it, but then it's like you've heard 3 different names called out to her, and I'm like, wait a second, is this a gag, or are they just like mispronouncing her name all the time? But no, it's not even close. It's just, and I almost asked, was that intentional? I'm like, no, Howard. They just random letters on the script is what they do.
Just a lot of bashing the keyboard, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I run every script. So,
speaking of keyboard, I did like seeing Storm work with an old Royal typewriter on her lap in the park, trying to type a story with gloves on. Like, I wonder if anybody even knows what those things are anymore.
Was a task and a half to do that because it was so old. Like it had those little metal things that come forward when you, and they kept getting stuck together. So then I couldn't type anymore, and it'd all get jammed up, and I'd have to flick it out. Oh boy.
Well, that's part of the fun.
Absolutely.
And now I lost my train of thought because I'm thinking of my old Royal typewriter that I used to have in high school, which is what I used to learn to type on. Then them newfangled electric ones came out with that ball that rotated and hit the thing.
That the typewriter in the film is actually my typewriter. I really like. I don't use it all the time. I rarely use it, in fact. But I like a manual typewriter. It's really nice to like physically be able to feel what you're typing.
Yeah. Well, and also it really makes you stop and think about what you're putting on the paper, because there is no grab a block and delete and start over. It's
right. That's why this movie is so smart, because we were definitely thinking of every. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, is that a habit you got into with other films? Because we haven't talked about what you've done leading up to Cup of Cheer.
Yeah, a lot of the time I'll sort of start. I mean, I like to write by hand, so I'll generate ideas like by hand, which makes me stop and think. Sometimes I'll type it on a typewriter, but rarely. My first film is called All About Who You Know. It's on Amazon Prime in the U.S. And I feel like, I mean, it's more serious than Cup of Cheer. It's a lot more like of a festival film. Whereas this is just like, how many jokes can we pack into something to make people laugh the most amount of times? Well,
Okay, so if you're coming from a serious film and then writing comedy, how much did you put into the writing? I mean, are you the screenwriter as well, or did you direct?
Yes, I co-wrote this one with Andy Lewis, who is also the producer, and it was really, it was a lot of fun to write the script. I mean, I've always been a comedy writer. My first film is still a comedy; it's just not as ridiculous as this. But it was really fun to be able to trade scenes back and forth with Andy, and basically the whole goal was to make each other laugh. Like he would write something, and then I would write something a little more insane, and then it would just go on until the script was done.
Yeah, because I was going to ask what your comedy experience was and what it was like going from a dramatic film to a comedy film. But,
yeah, well, I mean, I've done stand-up before. I always have considered myself a comedy writer. I would never do a straight drama. Like my first film is comedy mixed with drama, which I'm really, I love doing that too. But this is just a lot more fun, for sure, than having to get into all the dark stuff from my first film, where the actors are sort of in a more serious place. And here, of course, everything is just, how can we make this as funny as possible?
Now, what given that indie films have much more of a limited budget than the big budget films, hence why they're called big budget. Did you have any problem with finding location? I mean, is Cup of Cheer a facade, or did you actually find a Cup of Cheer store to film it?
No, that's we shot almost all of the film in this small town called Aurelia, which is where I shot my first film as well. And everyone's super welcoming, and it's an incredible place to film. And so we've been very fortunate with locations. Cup of Cheer is actually a cafe called Bake by the Lake. So it's just like, we didn't do a lot to change the inside, because it is actually that charming and that cute little small town place. But the signs and everything, those were ours. Yeah.
Okay. But the street and everything, that's not a set. That's literally a town.
Yes, nothing is a set. Everything is a real place that is as lovely and Christmassy as it is in the film, even though it was the middle of February and we were all dying.
Now, one of the elements that was introduced in Cup of Cheer was a little bit science fiction-y, a little bit Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court, and I wasn't quite sure whether or not he was really what he said he was, or he was completely a nut job wandering around homeless in town. You gonna keep me in the dark on that one, or are you just gonna let audiences figure it out for themselves?
Storm, what do you think?
I mean, mysteries are fun to solve, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
I think that's a question that we can answer in another Cup of Cheer.
Good. Another Cup of Cheer. I'm actually looking forward to seeing that now that I've already seen this one. I know I'm pushing you guys to make the next film before anybody gets to see this one.
Okay, there's parts of it that are already written, and the mystery of Arthur may or may not get solved.
Are you looking at bringing back the same cast?
Yeah, I wouldn't dream of making another movie like this without our cast. Our cast was incredible. Storm was okay. But yeah, I absolutely. There's no way to do this movie without this cast.
Well, first of all, Storm drove the whole thing. Sorry, Alexander, you did fine, but in fact, so much so that since you did film this where you did, around all the people who wander around there, I would not be surprised if somebody gets a phone call for a real Hallmark movie. As she's laughing, that means it's already happened. How did he find this out?
Oh. Crossing things.
I think Storm is better than a real Hallmark movie.
Maybe she'll get a Lifetime movie. You know, that'd be. I don't really think it's better. I know that Hallmark are the DVDs I always have to buy. Every time I go out, she's like, "Oh, by the way, I just watched this on Hallmark." I'm getting texts from my wife. You know, it's like, "Look for this." I'm like, "What's the point of streaming them if you're going to go out and buy them?" Hallmark, that's what they're doing it for. But speaking of DVDs, what's kind of the delay between the streaming and the DVD release of Cup of Cheer? Have you thought about that?
There is no delay. Actually, this is so conveniently set up over here. But we are doing DVDs, and they will be for sale pretty much from November 6th. There might be a delay of a few days to get them up on Amazon. They'll be for sale in stores in Canada and at our screenings. But for everybody else, DVDs will be on Amazon pretty soon after the premiere. Pretty soon after November 6th, when the film premieres elsewhere.
I feel like I was just in that Spaceballs scene where I'm saying, "When are the DVDs coming out?" Oh, they're already here in the film.
Yes.
And again, I'm dating myself with old movie references.
That's okay. Another good parody movie.
Yep, absolutely. So, other than another Cup of Cheer, though, you don't want to. You guys, neither one of you want to just spin your wheels in this for a while. As successful as it may be, and as fun as it may be, there've got to be other projects you've got to have in the fire. Storm, what are you planning on doing next? And we'll find out what Jake's up to.
Well, I have a short film that will be released soon-ish. Hopefully, we're not exactly sure when it'll come out, so I'm excited for that. It's a dramatic one, which is really fun. It's nice to be able to. This was actually my first comedy film experience. Usually, I'm in dramas, so this was really a great opportunity, and I was so lucky that Jake took a chance on me. Other than that, I'm gonna keep auditioning and keep training and keep trekking and see what comes my way.
Well, we will keep looking for you. And Jake, what about on your end of the deal? What are you working on?
Whatever it is, I think Storm will be in it. So that can kind of answer your question. She's just kind of stuck with me, I think.
Then you need to do a drama because that's what.
Yeah. I have a few things that I'm working on, a few scripts that are in various stages of development. Another project that's sort of like my first one, which is a comedy drama. Andy and I are currently working on something that's very much like Cup of Cheer, which is a horror spoof that we're excited about and would love to shoot next year. I don't know how much I can reveal about it.
You have a title?
A shark that's a ghost.
Ooh.
And it's probably called Shark Ghost or something like that, you know?
I've seen that.
Yeah.
No, I have. I've seen a ghost
There
shark.
there is a movie. There's a few things about sharks that are ghosts, but they are very serious. This is not one of those serious ghost shark movies.
Okay. Go for it. Throw them in a tornado for that matter.
Yes, yeah.
Sharks are scary on their own, so they're not funny, even though they got this big smile all the time. I don't know what they're laughing at us as they're about to eat us. Is there anything else that fans should know about Cup of Cheer? We know that get it on Amazon probably November 6th, which is in 2 days. There will be a link in the description below to the store.
Yeah, most importantly, it'll be streaming on Tubi from November 6th, completely for free. There's literally no reason why you shouldn't watch this movie. It is free.
This is not how you make money, Jake.
I just want people to see it. I want, honestly, comedy is so important, especially in a really horrible year. So I just think it's really important that, I mean, it's a stupid, funny comedy movie, but I just want people to see it and laugh. And if you like it, tell your friends, tweet about it, hashtag Cup of Cheer. What's really, really important for a movie like this is just for everybody to be able to share it and tell their friends to watch it. So that's what I want for Christmas this year, is for everyone to check out the movie, whether it's on Tubi for free or on Amazon or on VOD or digital or buy the DVD. It's going to be everywhere starting November 6th.
And I had an indie film producer on last night, and I asked the same question, and I'll throw this out at you as well. Because of all the theater closings and a lot of the big boys, the Warner Brothers and the Sonys, they're holding their movies back. They're going to make Wonder Woman 84 wait until there's actual seats. Same for the next James Bond movie and such. So they're not releasing them to streaming either. Does that give you a wider audience right now? I mean, is this like an opportunity? Is this the silver lining in the cloud of COVID closures?
Not really, because audiences are, well, whether it's that audiences are stubborn or that streamers are stubborn, either way, people seem to think that people only want to watch movies that have stars in them or are from a big studio. And, while that I'm sure is true, there are movies like Cup of Cheer that will make you laugh for an hour and a half nonstop, and you should give those movies a chance. And so that's why we really want people to share it, so that when there aren't these big movies out, people will have a chance to watch it, especially this Christmas when there's not going to be a lot of new, unique films out. It would be great for people to check it out, even though it's not a James Bond movie.
All right. Well, let's get the word out on that and get people to tune into Tubi or Amazon Prime or whatever it is that is their favorite streaming service, and have a Cup of Cheer Christmas. Storm, Jake, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Is there anything else that people should know about the show that I didn't open the door to, something you want to do? Get out there, either one of you?
Follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Cup of Cheer Movie. Message us. Tell us how much you like the film. You can follow me at by Jake Horowitz on Twitter. I sometimes tweet funny things, but rarely.
Avoid Twitter right now. It's Armageddon on Twitter today. So another reason why we need Cup of Cheer.
Yes, yeah. Just
It's
don't,
okay.
Cup of Cheer and don't focus on anything else.
There you go. All right. Thank you so much again for coming on the stream. Appreciate it. And of course, when there's another Cup of Cheer, we hope that there'll be another Critical Blast podcast with both of you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
Good night.
Thank you so much.